Welcome back to the Free Hour. It's your boy Trevor Turner. We back with another video. You see we in the booth. Looks a little bit different in here today. But yeah, we in the booth, man. And we on our ABC series for mindfulness. We are on mindfulness as a path to self-discovery and growth. Practical strategies for integrating mindfulness into daily life. This is what we're focusing on with some of our free hours. We've been focusing on productivity. We've been focusing on mindfulness. We've been focusing on emotional intelligence. We've been focusing on things that are going to help us get better in so many different ways. It's not only about how we approach the world. It's not only about how we see the world. It's not only about how we see ourselves. It's not only about how we feel the world, but it's about how we impact and affect the world around us. That is what all three of these series are going to bring us to, plus the other side videos. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for checking me out. I hope by the end of this video, you'll like the video, subscribe to the channel. But what's most important, even if you don't do either of those things, if we are talking about a subject that is close to you, that hits you, if we're talking about a subject that you've worked on before, if we're talking about a subject that you're trying to work on now, comment on it. The thing that you say in the comments might help somebody more than you know. All right? So let's get to it. What if you could stay calm and balanced no matter what life throws at you? That's the power of equanimity. Equanimity. I'm saying it equanimity. But we're talking about the letter E in mindfulness. E is for equanimity in the context of mindfulness. So you're going to learn today what equanimity is. We're going to learn about why it's important in mindfulness. And, of course, practical strategies for cultivating equanimity in our daily life. So let's jump in. The definition of equanimity. Equanimity is a state of mental calmness, composure, and evenness of temper, especially in difficult situations. This, honestly, being an E video, it could have been evenness, but I think equanimity, it kind of like includes more. It has more depth to it because it talks about calmness, composure, and evenness of temper, especially in difficult situations. It's the ability to stay emotionally balanced regardless of external circumstances. It's the having that calm in the storm moment. It's about being able to know that there could be everything falling around outside of you. Everything could be seeming to go to shit. Everything could be on fire. Everything could be failing. And you're just sitting there saying, you know what? I still got this. I'm still me. I'm still going to get through this. I'm still going to crush this. I'm still going to wake up tomorrow and do what I need to do. I'm still going to get to that gym. I'm still going to go and watch the videos that I've been watching. I'm still going to be good with my kids. I'm not going to have an attitude with them. I'm not going to treat them any type of way because that's what my dad used to do when I was a kid, when he was having a bad day. Come home and make everybody have a bad day. I had a bad day at work, but you know what? That bad day at work is going to have my kids and my wife have the best fucking life ever. And I'm going to help bring that. That's equanimity. That's what equanimity is. And that's why it's important. When we talk about it in the context of mindfulness, equanimity is a key component of mindfulness. It's the capacity to remain centered and present without being swayed by negative or positive emotional extremes. So when I talk about equanimity with me, it's just about being even keeled. When I talk about equanimity, it's about having chaos going around in my life and still being able to thrive at work. When I talk about equanimity, it's about having chaos going around at work and still being able to thrive in my life. When I talk about equanimity, it's about having all the bullshit when people trying to tear me down, people trying to stab me in the back, people trying to shake my hand with a smile on my face and then go behind my back and say, I don't think that person should speak at these events no more. When I talk about equanimity, it's about the ATM swallowing my paycheck, and now I got to work on a dispute, and them saying it's not even guaranteed that I'm going to get my paycheck. Coming up to the school and them saying, okay, well, you know what? If they don't cash it, we might be able to give you another one, but it's not a guarantee that you're going to get your paycheck. And still being able to take my ass to work and still being able to put my best foot forward. That's equanimity. Because my best foot forward is not for the administration. My best foot forward is not for these other people who are in charge of my check. My best foot forward is for the people who are a part of this program, Rising Scholars Program. It's about serving them. And if I were to let The things that were going on outside of me affect my work with them. It would affect their experience. It would affect what they're going through in the long run. And that's not what I'm here to do. That's not what I'm here for. That's equanimity. When we talk about equanimity in the context of mindfulness, that is what we're talking about. So let's talk about the science behind equanimity and mindfulness. The brain and emotional regulation. We talk about the wiring. We talk about this all the time. I'm up here trying to give you scientific stuff in a very non-scientific way. Hopefully y'all can follow me. Hopefully I can break it down in a way that it's understandable. Talking about the prefrontal cortex and the amygdala. Once again, mindfulness and equanimity are connected to the brain's ability to regulate emotions. So when we talk about regular mindfulness practices, we talk about things like being aware. When we talk about things like cultivating calm, when we talk about things like putting the space between our emotional triggers, our emotional stimulus, and our responses, when we talk about doing all of those things, when we talk about seeking balance, when we talk about having the equanimity, what happens is that our regular mindfulness practices, it actually strengthens our prefrontal cortex, which helps control emotional responses and actually helps to quiet the amygdala, which is the brain's emotional response center. What happens is that we are basically in our brain, we're basically a set of two functions, because our brain is responsible for processing information to keep us alive. That is the evolutionary function of the brain, especially when it comes to things like the amygdala. Now, the prefrontal cortex, it can process things on a more complex level. The prefrontal cortex can do things on a logical level and a reasoning level. But the amygdala is it's all gas, no brakes. The amygdala is the thing that's like, no, this thing could kill us. We got to react. We got to run. We got to fight. We got to do something. We got to get to it. That's the amygdala. Now, if we are able to have a consistent mindfulness practice, if we are able to build upon the building blocks that we've been talking about and try to get to a level of equanimity, what we've actually done is strengthened our prefrontal cortex and quieted the amygdala. Dr. Richard Davidson, neuroscientist renowned for research on emotional regulation and mindfulness, demonstrating how mindfulness enhances emotional stability, said that individuals who practice mindfulness regularly develop greater emotional resilience, maintaining equanimity in challenging situations. Look, if you're able to practice mindfulness, when you start, it's not going to give you instant results. When you start practicing your mindfulness, it is not going to keep you on an even keel. When you start practicing your mindfulness, you're going to be all over the place, because that's where you were at before. But the thing is that if you do it consistently, if you have a practice, if you have something that you are doing on a daily basis, a weekly basis, if you're doing this thing, you're going to develop resilience to where anything can happen, almost anything. I don't want to say anything because people, the worst thing will jump into your mind, but almost anything can happen and you'll still be able to maintain that calm. You'll still be able to maintain that forward motion, that drive. You'll still be able to get home and work on that passion project that you're working on. You'll still be able to get home and work on starting your business. You'll still be able to get home and do all that stuff no matter how bad work was, or maybe even because work was as bad as it was. You'll still be able to get to the gym and lift. You'll still be able to get in there and do the things you want to do. You'll still be able to deal with your kids with a smile on your face. You'll still be able to kiss your wife or your husband and not take out all of that bad energy that tried to bombard you at work or throughout your day. Now, when we talk about practicing equanimity, it reduces the impact of stress on the body and mind. It leads to lower cortisol levels, leads to better mental health. Numerous studies from institutions like the American Psychological Association confirm mindfulness's role in reducing stress and improving emotional regulation. And we talk about these studies, they show consistent mindfulness practice can lower stress and improve emotional resilience. It's about being consistent, though. It's about being consistently balanced. It's about being consistently calm in the storm. So let's talk about how to get there. Let's talk about practical strategies for cultivating equanimity. Mindfulness meditation for equanimity. So meditation cultivates equanimity by training the mind to observe thoughts and emotions without reacting to them. So one of the things that I do, and I go back to the same sources a lot because a lot of these were foundational for me, and especially as we're going through these foundational early letters, we're going to be doing a lot of foundational work. So I go back to Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now. And basically the core of what he was talking about, the core of his teaching in that book, was just about being the observer of your thoughts. It's about taking that step back and realizing that you are not your thoughts. You are not your feelings that try to attach themselves to those thoughts. You can observe those thoughts in a non-judgmental way. And doing that actually helps them to pass through. Doing that actually helps you to let go of them. Doing those things actually, it's like a temperature check, but then not getting burned by how hot you're running or frozen by how cold you're running. It's being able to separate yourself from everything that's twisting and turning and just stirring up in what you got going on. That's the point of observing the thoughts and emotions without reacting to them. So one of the things I like to do is I like to do a body scan. Because one of the things you do is if you're able to do a body scan and you're able to focus on, whatever it is that helps you get into your body, it gets you out of your head. So what it does, it separates you from your thoughts. It's like a jolt to separate you from the thoughts that are running through your head. And what you can do is you can kind of go back and you can kind of just look and you can kind of see that there are thoughts going. You can see what they are. And the way it works for me is it's like I either hear them or it's like I'm reading them almost. And it's just like they're going by. And not like it's somebody else, but like, yeah, these are things that are happening to me. And I know that they're happening to me. I know that they're going on in there. And I know that they're things that I think and they're things that I feel. But I'm able to observe them because I've detached from them by getting into my body. And a body scan meditation is just really easy because I start with the hands and I start to just feel like the air on my fingers, like I'm wearing a ring. I feel the way the ring is around my pinky finger. I feel the way that my hands feel. I feel, and even though you can't necessarily feel this, but you try to feel and try to visualize the blood running through your hands, through the vessels in your hands, through the capillaries in your hands, through the veins and arteries. And you just focus on how each individual finger just feels. And then once you've brought yourself into your hands and you feel the energy in your hands and you feel the life in your hands, you just move onto your arms, move onto your elbows, move onto your upper arms, your shoulders, go into your chest, feel your heart, go down into your stomach, into your abs, to your core, go down, all the way down to your feet. Come back up, all the way up the back side this time, so you're feeling your lower back, mid back, upper back, into the shoulders. Feel the traps. Feel the way your neck feels. Feel it all up the back of your head. Feel your scalp. How's your scalp feeling? Are your eyes tight? Feel your face. Take you a deep breath, and then you just start saying, okay, like what is going on? What am I thinking about? And you'll see or hear, or those thoughts will come, and you'll just remind yourself that you are not those thoughts. You'll say, okay, that thought is there. I'm not going to judge it. I'm just going to acknowledge that thought is a reality. And I'm not going to say, oh, that's weird that I thought that. Why would I think that? That's, man, that makes me so mad. That makes me so angry. I can't believe she did this. I can't believe she did. You say, you know what? That thought is there. Yes, that person did that. That thought is there. Yes, this did happen at work today. That thought is there. Yes, my dog did do this. Yes, that is there. Yes, my back does feel a little stiff. Those thoughts are there. I wonder what I'll think of next. And then what will happen is that your thoughts will start to realize, like, okay, we're being observed, we're being watched. And then you'll actually start to, once you've done the observation thing, once you've observed your thoughts, you will start to come back into control of your conscious mind, right? And those thoughts will no longer be the dominating thing. You will be the dominating thing. So you start to say, like, I wonder what I'm going to think of next. And now you've got back at the helm. Now you've got back at the wheel. And your thoughts are not randomly coming anymore. You have to consciously generate your thoughts. That's what being the observer of your thoughts for a minute does. It slows down the ramblings. It slows down the runnings. It slows down the anxieties and all this other stuff, and even the depressive thoughts. It slows those things down. And then you get back in the helm. You get back in the driver's seat, and you control what conscious thoughts come. It's that simple. It's not like saying there's another person there. It's just it's taking that step. It's taking that step to put yourself back and fully in control, because you can control, what you think. It's about realizing that a lot of those thoughts and a lot of those feelings, though, are just not you. You don't have to fully identify with them. I think there's a better way to put it. You don't have to fully identify with them. You don't have to fully embrace those things, because a lot of those things are just like, the things that you were taught. Like, oh, this person did that. They must be disrespecting me. So they disrespected me. I got to feel mad. I got to feel like this. And you'll start to get carried away with those things. And you don't necessarily need to identify with those feelings in that situation. You don't necessarily need to feel those things. You can just notice that those thoughts are there. You can notice that there are feelings attached to those thoughts. You can observe them and you can let them go. So next, let's talk about non-reactivity. Let's talk about the importance of non-reactivity. When we talk about non-reactivity, it's really just literally is proactivity. And we talked about this at length in the past few videos. It is literally just the ability to pause and reflect before reacting to situations and putting that space. It is putting that space between stimulus and response. It is putting that space between action and reaction. It is putting that space. It gives you back control. Instead of the knee-jerk reaction, instead of the instinctual reaction, instead of the amygdala response, it's giving you back the control where you say, okay, no, now I have control. Now I can say that I made the choice to do something. Now I can say that I'm fully conscious and fully aware of what it is that I'm going to do, because I have practiced non-reactivity. And I encourage you for this one to practice the pause technique. When you're faced with stress or emotional triggers, just pause. Just press pause. Pause. Take a few seconds. Take a deep breath. Go back to the observer. Go back to being the observer. Observe that emotional response. Recognize that emotional response. See that emotion in you. See that feeling. Recognize that feeling. Know that that feeling is there. Don't judge it. Don't latch onto it. And just say, notice it, but don't act on it. What happens is that you're able to notice these things. You're able to really feel about these things. You'll start to get to the point where you can ask yourself, why do I feel the way I feel? Why? What is it about this situation that made me feel the way that I feel? And I'm not talking about like the regular cookie cutter situations, like the dude walked up to you and called you a bitch. The dude walked up to you and tried to swing on you, or that girl is trying to fuck your husband. I'm not talking about those things. I'm talking about the things at work where it would seem like it's only this one person. They can just continually get under your skin, and they have that little smirk on their face after they do it. And you can get to the point where it's like non-reactivity. Why does this person have so much power over me emotionally? They're not my significant other. They're not paying none of my bills. I'm not fucking them. Why is it then that they are able to make me so mad? Practicing that non-reactivity, taking that pause, helps you to get there. And then we talk about loving kindness meditations. It's a practice that builds both compassion and equanimity. What you do is you send well wishes to yourself and to others. Helps develop a sense of inner peace, emotional stability. What I do for my loving kindness meditation every morning is I do my gratitudes. So I try to limit myself to 10 gratitudes, so that way I have something else, like something, so I don't repeat myself every day on things that I'm grateful for. And when I first started doing this, I ain't gonna lie to you, I could barely come up with two. I'm thankful I got to sleep last night. I'm thankful that my body works type shit, right? But once you start doing it, you'll actually start to be able to say, okay, you know what? I'm thankful for my family. And you may not mean it in that moment. Like in that moment, you genuinely may not mean it. You may say, you know what? I'm thankful I got a job. In that moment where you're first starting to do this stuff, you may not actually mean it. But the thing is, if you continue to do those things, you will find reasons to make that statement the truth, because you're so fully focused on it. And then what happens is that once you are able to do that loving kindness meditation, and you're actually able to cultivate that sense of gratitude, and you're actually able to like really say, you know what, like I am grateful for the people that I have in my life. So that means that no matter what it is that they do, if they do some shit that would normally piss me off, I started my day saying that I'm grateful for you. So that stuff that you're doing to piss me off is not going to piss me off today. Because I woke up this morning and I told myself I was grateful for you. So that means that I found reasons to actually be grateful for you. So that means I'm not going to ride your waves of emotion with you. I'm not going to ride your low when you're trying to do some shit to piss me off. I'm also not going to ride your high when you're trying to do some shit that wouldn't piss me off. It just means that I'm going to have my own balance. I'm going to have my own decision about how I feel. And that's what loving kindness meditations get to. A lot of it too can be like positive affirmations, not only about yourself but about other people. And this works with the people that you work with, because a lot of times, sometimes you can't bring yourself to feel grateful for that coworker that's a piece of shit. But I guarantee you, if you really try hard, you can find one positive thing about that person. And you'll be like, I can't find nothing positive about this motherfucker. This motherfucker stink. His breath stink. He look like this, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, okay, maybe he has nice shoes. Does he wear nice shoes? What does his car look like? You have a nice car? Oh, you know what he does? He gets a haircut every now and then. That is a positive thing that you can say about somebody. You know what? He sometimes takes care of his personal hygiene. And if you continue to do that, what you could do is you can start to say, like, you know what? I love the way that I take care of myself. I appreciate the way that I take care of myself. I appreciate the way that I have my goals. I appreciate that I'm able to smile. And then you can look at that other person and say, you know what? Like, I recognize that this person does these things. I recognize that this person takes care of their personal hygiene. I recognize that this person cleans their shoes. I recognize that this person comes to work every single day. Like, yeah, they may fuck with me at work every single day, but you know what? I can recognize that they're there every single day doing the same bullshit job that I'm doing too. And you will start to slowly, it's not easy. This is not easy by no means. I had to do this shit for years in prison before I was able to get out on the streets and do it. Now, if I had to do it on the streets, I wouldn't have had that jump start, and it would take me a long time. But if you start today, it'll be the quicker you get done. Let's talk about how to apply equanimity to challenging situations. Let's talk about the meat and potatoes of it, because when we talk about equanimity, when we talk about maintaining balance and evenness and calmness, it's going to be in these two different types of situations that is going to come in most handy and most useful. So we talked about some ways to develop it. We talked about some ways to get there. And it is going to be a process. It is going to be a road. It is not going to be like, if you're not an even person, if you're not an even keeled person, you're not going to wake up tomorrow an even keeled person just because you said, you know what, I'm grateful that it's not raining today. Oh, so that means that I'm going to go through life and I'm just going to be, hey, everything's going to be cool and I'm going to be balanced. It's not going to be like that. It's not. But the more that you start to have these mindfulness practices, the more that you start to carry these things with you in your life, the more that you start to work on these things, the more you will be able to apply them to these situations I'm going to talk about right now. The first one is stress and conflict. Equanimity actually helps you to manage your stress and conflict, because what happens is, instead of reacting impulsively to your stressors, you learn to approach them with a balanced and composed mindset. One of the things I like to say, like, there's an opportunity in everything. And obviously that's a cliche. Obviously I don't really mean everything. For the most part, there's opportunity in everything that I'm going to face when it comes to stress and conflict with other people. And the example that I'm going to give you with this is, I'm part of the student government here at Bakersfield College. I work with a lot of people who are in education. I work with a lot of educators. So today I was in a thing called the Academic Senate. The Academic Senate is faculty and staff here at the college, and they make a lot of decisions about what goes on with the future of the school here at Bakersfield College. And one of the things that they were talking about, one of the things that they were having a lot of conflict and a lot of stress about is AI. And the reason I feel like they're having a lot of conflict and stress about it is because they are reacting impulsively to those stressors. A lot of them are older. There are a couple young ones in there closer to my age, but a lot of them are older. So to them, AI is an enemy. To them, AI is something that they have to beat. And that was like the common theme. Like, we can't beat it. Like, what are we going to do to beat it? Let's find a scenario to beat it. These students are using it. They're cheating. They're doing this. They're doing that. They're trying to find scenarios that they can get the best of this system, right? But the thing is, if you were able to practice equanimity in a situation like that and approach it with a balanced or composed mindset, not only would you probably be able to find a situation where you could beat it, but you would be able to find the opportunity in the fact that most students are using AI, in the fact also that most industries are graduating to using AI. So now you can start to say, okay, well, how can we work with AI? How can we work with students who are using AI? How can we integrate this to where people can demonstrate a level of competence in a certain respective field, while at the same time utilizing the tools that they're going to have to utilize once they get into their industry. Because once they get into this industry that you're teaching them to get into, that you're not allowing them to use AI while they're learning how to do it, the first thing they're going to have to do is they're going to have somebody come train them on how to use AI for their industry. Oh, okay, so yeah, no, you did some real good writing. Oh, you did a lot of that in school, and you learned how to do that in school. That's great. Let me teach you how to do it easier with AI. Let me teach you how to do it quicker with AI. Let me give you some on-the-job training that you should have gotten in school. You went to school and got this piece of paper, and they didn't teach you how to use the main tool, the main staple of what it is that we do here. But because they're impulsively reacting to those stressors, they can't see that there's an opportunity here. They can't see that there's an opportunity to lead the way, to lead the pack. And unfortunately, there may not actually be, for the people in that room, they may not be that opportunity. But if they really cared about the future of the students and the people that they're serving, there may have been an opportunity to bring someone else in to handle that job. But the problem is they can't have the equanimity because they're impulsively reacting to those stressors. It's putting pressure. It's stress. It's conflict. And then we talk about relationships. We talked about stress. We talked about conflict. And the big one is going to be relationships. Equanimity improves relationships. And the way it improves relationships, it's because it allows individuals to handle conflicts, emotional reactions, and disagreements without losing balance or escalating tension. And I talked about this before. I talked about a lot of times what happens is that when we are going through relationship troubles, a lot of times what's happening is we are taking everything as an attack or an affront. We are taking everything that is coming at us as something that we need to respond to, something we got to justify, something we got to prove wrong. If you are able to handle those things with a level of equanimity, it can actually prevent arguments. Not only can it prevent arguments, but it can prevent the arguments that are already going on from spiraling out of control. It can help you take control back of the situation. It can help you take control back of the conversation. It can help you take control back of what's going on if you are able to have that balance, maintain that balance to handle these conflicts, to get away from emotional reactions and disagreements. And then we talk about the challenges with it. How do we manage our emotional triggers? Deeply ingrained emotional reactions can make it difficult to maintain equanimity. So one of the things that I would suggest is strategies to identify our emotional triggers. One is our awareness. We talked about mindfulness. We talked about the building block of it was awareness. And one of the tools that we use in that was journaling. When you have challenging situations, when you have situations that bring out certain things that kind of knock you off of your balance or knock you off of your footing or whatever the case, I suggest that you actively reflect. I suggest that you journal. I suggest that you put things together so that you can understand yourself better, understand your triggers better, understand your emotional patterns better to help you develop equanimity. And then, of course, the main thing about it, consistency. Remain consistent in your mindfulness practice. Remain consistent with recognizing your deeply ingrained triggers. Remain consistent with trying to not impulsively react to stressors in stressful times. Try to maintain your equanimity. Be consistent in what it is that you're doing. Be consistent in your mindfulness meditations. Be consistent in non-reactivity. Be consistent in loving kindness and gratitude. Be consistent in trying to reach that level of balance. Because the reason I say this is because when I was doing this myself, when I was trying to get to this level myself, to be able to be even keeled, to be able to not have everything that's going around me affect me in such a negative way, I was in a place where shit was trying to affect me negatively every single day. I had a bunkie that talked to himself all day and all night. That was a rough situation, but I was able to maintain an even keel because I was able to practice and consistently work on equanimity. It's not an immediate skill. Like I said before, you're not going to wake up one day and be like, you know what, I'm grateful that I got a job, and then be able to go to job and just everything that fucking shitty ass place throws at you, you're going to be able to just take it with a smile. I'm not saying it's not going to happen. Like, you're not going to look at this video on a Tuesday and then go into work on Wednesday feeling like a brand new fucking man. But if you start now, within some months, you will be carrying yourself as a new person, and you'll feel the differences inside before people start noticing them on the outside. All right? So that's it. We've talked about the definition and importance of equanimity and mindfulness. Talked about the science behind it. talked about strategies for cultivating it. We talked about some of the obstacles, some of the challenges. What I encourage you guys to do with this one is to practice equanimity daily. Practice having balance. Practice having calmness of mind. And start with mindful awareness of your emotional responses. And then gradually incorporate the strategies we talked about. Reflection, journaling. Equanimity arises when we accept the way things are. And that goes back to the power of now. Being present in the moment. You can't be present in the moment if you don't accept the fact that things are just the way they are. Part of accepting that things are the way they are does not mean that there isn't a desire to change things. Part of accepting the things that are the way they are doesn't mean that there is something that you can do something about and not doing something about it. It's about just knowing that this is what it is and this is where we have to go from. This is what we have to work with. It's about playing the cards that you're dealt in the best way possible. You ever notice that people who play spades, people who play pinochle, if they get a bad hand, they still try to play that motherfucker? They still try to play it just as good as if they got that 10 hand. They still gonna run it. That's equanimity. All right? If you like the video, like it, man. If you want to hear more, subscribe to the channel. That's our mindfulness series on the letter E. It's your boy Tree. Deuces.